What's up, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of Two Sisters, One Book. I'm Carla.
And I'm Amanda. We are two sisters, two moms tackling one book at a time. We are on the third episode of The Wolf Throne. Oh my gosh, so exciting. I'm going to
Wow.
give a real fast recap with no spoilers for the people who haven't read it yet. And then after that, we'll give a 3-second pause and then we'll move on to a talk that has a lot of spoilers.
Yeah. So if you haven't read it yet, what's wrong? Read it. Come on. We
Right?
need you guys to join us.
Go get it. Okay. So these chapters actually had a lot, so I have actually notes and books. So where we left off from the last episode, we ended where Damien called for the Alpha's Gambit challenge because he needs to get to the throne to help save Jazz. And then we see Alfred can't stay away and he calls for a parlay. And during this parlay, it seems like he's more taunting Damien to see if he could break the parlay and get him disqualified from even going to the challenge. So now for chapters 21 through 30, with no spoilers, is Damien meets with the Alphas at Blackwood Lodge to set the rules of the fight. Tension rises when the Shadow Fangs attack Tallow, leading to new alliances and the Snow Pack finally stepping in to protect the town. Jazz plays a key role uncovering secrets behind the attacks and training alongside Damien. As the challenges approaches, everything escalates into a dangerous confrontation that changes everything. So here's your 3 seconds. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah. And while you guys are like heading out, go get the book. Like start reading.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but as we're entering this section of the book, I feel like chapter 21 is a very important chapter. And that's where Damien is going to meet with the alphas at the lodge and then go over the rules and the traditions of the Gambit.
I think this is going to kind of give us a good idea of what to expect later in the Gambit. And I was really excited to read all of the details on it.
Yeah, they actually have a lot of rules. So
Yeah.
I have my handed dandy notebook.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about those rules.
I like how, well, first, before we talk about the rules, we do see kind of a key character. He's the high, and I mispronounced this word, high, help me out, high
Arbiter. The High Arbiter.
named Silas, which he is an old wolf, and I have it on my Kindle.
Yeah, he's an old wolf with like white fur, and he knows everything. He's like the keeper of the codex. He's definitely the keeper of all the knowledge when it comes down to anything in the history that needs to know about the
Yeah.
codex.
He's like basically the codex living memory, the keeper of the lore. So, and these types of wolves, they are lone wolves, and their purpose is they dedicated, I feel like, their entire life in protecting like the codex and the Alpha Gambit challenge. Say that 3 times fast.
That's pretty tough.
But yeah, so as we go into the terms of the Gambit, we see that it's in an iron-bound book, which seems very interesting to me. And then
Seems very permanent, right? An iron-bound book seems like it's permanent.
Like you can't change the laws on that one.
Yeah. Well, we learn he needs to beat them all consecutive.
Yes. So we learn that he has to beat them consecutive. He has a 10-minute grace period for them to collect the challengers. But I like how Celine says the Gambit requires order. We are not savages, because Cain asked the question, how long is it going to take? Because he's ready to kill him. So I like how she said that she's not a savage.
Is it just me, or do you get like a different vibe from Celine? I get this vibe that she's not as much of a villain as we think she's going to be.
I get that vibe, but I'm scared of authors sometimes. I don't want to fall too in love with her because I have a feeling something might happen. So I feel like,
well, I have it just just to help you out, I do have a little theory later that may help ease you on that. But when we get there, I'll tell you more about that.
Okay. She stays alive, right? I hope so.
I don't know. I haven't read it. I'm reading it with you.
Okay. I know. I need to know. Sophie. Um, the challengers may receive medical attention. And then we do see Alfred kind of like makes a noise. Like, I don't know if he approves of that. And then we do see that the challenger can receive medical attention, but it can't be a magical healing. Um,
Or
or
adrenaline
adrenaline
stimulants.
stimulants are permitted.
So, yeah, the fights will be to the death or until the opponent is incapacitated and unable to rise for a count of 10. However, most of the time it results in a death. That's kind of what
Yes.
Silas is saying. Yeah.
Yes. And then the order of who the challenger, which is Damien, is gonna fight is by the drawing of lots. So I know Damien requested that he fights Alfred last. And I know that he's been going back and forth to see who he should fight with first, Celine or Kane, which both descriptions he gave, it's like, oh, yeah, that's a hard decision.
Yeah. Who did you
So
think was going to go first? Like if you had to, if you were able to pick, who would you pick to go first?
Alfred. I would pick Alfred. And then I would pick um Kane. Because then if I survive Kane, all I really have to do is worry about dodging Celine's poison. Maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be dead with Alfred, but I feel like I would try to take Alfred out first, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I was thinking just strategically, maybe what would be smart is to do Kane first because we know you're going to need a lot of strength to try to beat Kane. So going in at him first might be a good option. And then doing Celine second because she's not really a fighter. Now, yes, you have to use more mental strategy with her, but she's going to be more of a you can probably sit there and think and not move around as much. So you might be able to get some of your energy back before you get to Elford, who sounds like he is just going to like get vicious.
Like go all hardcore on you, huh? With red eyes and
Yeah.
everything. Like those like
Mhm.
cartoon eyes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay, so that's a good lineup. So you would say Kane first, Celine second, Alfred third. Okay, let's find out what Damien got because Damien got Celine first, Kane second, Alfred third. So at least he got what he wanted there. So good for
Did you notice
Damien.
did you notice something interesting about the markings on
The
the
stones.
stones? Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
You have a an eye for Celine, which if you think
Yep.
about it, they're spies, right?
Yes.
You have a mountain peak for Kane, which I obviously they're in the mountain area, but I also took that as strength, right? You have a big mountain that's hard, you can't move it, right? So I
Yes.
took that as like strong. And then you have a claw mark for Elford, which to me symbolizes vicious.
Yeah. Well, and I took it as too, like in my head, the claw mark. I was like, oh, like a not a crow, but you know, those vultures that like to eat everything that's dead, you know?
Oh
Those are
yeah,
savages.
like a
But
vulture. Yeah. So I loved the detail on that. I thought that was interesting and I thought it was great writing personally.
yeah, no, it was very cool. Very cool. Okay.
Now we get into the weapons, what they can use.
Yes. So let me get my notes again. There's no firearms, no modern technology. Alphas may fight in human form or wolf form with claws and teeth. And then I liked how Celine brought up, so is poison not traditional? Because it's heritage to me. You wouldn't claw, you wouldn't, what did she say?
You wouldn't dull the
Yeah,
yeah,
you wouldn't
dull its
dull the
claws.
claws. The Grim Vel's claws, which she has a point. So they said you can use poison, but it just has to be administered to the blade or to like whatever thing that you're allowed to use at that time.
Hmm.
But I found it really funny that she was so worried about her poison because I'm like, oh my friend, can you not fight without your poison? Which then leads us to another thing is Did you notice that her second Vesper, how she looked at Damien's leg and like then looked away? And then Alfred, when he saw Damien, talked about again if the infection hit. And then the previous chapter before this one, he wanted to see if the infection hit.
Oh, is
Like,
that, yeah, that's when Cain, I have it right here actually. Let me pull up my notes. Hold on. So Alfred says, I was beginning to think that the infection had set in early.
yeah. Which then he said that in the previous chapter when he called a parlay, he wanted to see if the infection set in already. So now that we know that the way Celine acted about if she could use her poison, I wonder if they worked together to try to poison his leg, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, like when he got bit.
Yeah.
That's interesting because he has been recovering very slowly. And we know that alphas tend to recover very quickly. And why is it taking so long? Like, what if they did
Ah,
put like something in, and I mean, this is like just figuring out a possibility, but what if there was something in the teeth that bit him, or something that coated it? I don't know, but I think you're onto
I
something.
don't know. It was just very interesting how Vesper, who is Celine's second, looked at his leg and it even sits there. She looked at my leg and then looked away. And then everybody's asking, what about the infection? So I guess we'll find out later, right?
Yeah, because what infection, right? Like if he got bit, I mean, yes, you could think of it as an infection that like your leg got infected from the wound, but I mean, if we're talking about alphas who heal quickly and they're a lot stronger internally, what infection are you talking about, Alfred?
Hmm.
Should we pin
Okay.
that?
Yeah, maybe. Let's see what happens. Dun,
Okay.
dun, dun.
Okay, so now we get to the stakes. So the stakes for the throne, everybody is assuming obviously that if Damien wins, he gets the throne. But Elford, he's not feeling that. He's like, nope, that's not
That's
enough. And
boring.
yeah, that's boring. And basically, we see Elford say, I propose an
He wants
amendment.
more.
If Damien Ashford falls, the Ashen Ones are not just leaderless.
Do you hear her?
Like she farted on.
She wants out. Give me a second. You guys, my dog wants out. It's probably because my husband's making her bowl of food right now. Hold on. Oh, did you hear her growl though? And you thought it was a toot toot?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, what just happened? So Elford says, I propose an amendment. If Damien Ashford falls, the Ashen Ones are not just leaderless, they are forfeit. Their territory is divided among the victors, and the snow female, the mate, becomes the property of the victor of the final round.
He's so greedy.
So, yeah, so basically they are essentially treating Jazz like property. It's like if he loses, not only does he lose his territory,
His
he obviously
pack.
will,
He's
but yeah, but he is going his pack is going to be divided amongst all three victors, and Jasmine becomes property of the winner, which we all know Elford is trying to be the winner of that. He makes it very clear, especially at the end of this chapter.
and it's so funny how he wants to go last. Because if we all know Kane's like the biggest and the strongest in a thing, like I don't know. I feel like that's the
Hmm.
coward way out. He's like, I'd rather be last and get him when he's tired.
Right. Well, and then we also see that Damien uses this to his advantage because Elford says if you win, she's queen. If you lose, she's mine. So
Oh,
Damien, I know. So Damien heard those words as, listen, if you're willing to accept that she'll be queen if I win, I am down to place a wager on that bet.
that's
Because
so scary though.
it is. It's a huge risk, but we know that if Damien doesn't do that, I mean, no matter what, Jazz is going to be at risk regardless. He has to fight in order to secure this. And Elford offered him a winning chip. He's like, if you win, we will allow her to be queen. So he took
Ugh,
that
I
and he's
love
like,
that.
Yeah, so he's like, this is what I'm gonna do. So that's how the stakes were developed. Damien accepts the stakes. We know that Rorik is kind of pissed about it because he's like, you just wagered all of your people because you want to hold on to the person that you're in love with, which obviously
Yeah.
is a very huge risk.
I was gonna say, as we know, I feel like when it comes to mates, especially a male and especially the male will do anything to protect his mate. So I feel like at that point, if you know he has, but I feel like these people don't like mates. But I feel like if you knew that he was fighting for his mate, like, come on, have a little bit
Mhm.
of faith in the guy.
Well, because mates, I think Damien mentions this in one of the previous chapters that we read on yesterday's episode, is that mates, obviously it's more of a rare thing, like their specific bond was rare. Most people usually enter a mate with somebody or enter a union of what we would call like a marriage for a political reason or for like strategy. And so it's very different to have them be mated based on the fact that you have this bond, that you are completely in love with this person. You didn't choose it, the bond chose you.
Yeah.
So maybe
The
they just aren't
fated bond.
understanding. Yeah, they're
Ooh,
just not
yes.
understanding that
All of them tired.
this, because it's rare. So this doesn't really happen.
Yeah. Ooh, it's just gonna be so exciting to keep going.
I know. I
So
know.
I would love to see them bow down to Jasmine and call her queen. Like,
Yeah. And it was
I'm
Alfred's idea.
excited.
So
I know. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that so loud.
no,
Sorry.
it's
I'm so
true. It's true.
excited.
Because Alfred was the one who made that proposal, and Damien said he accepted. So
Yep. And now
I
we know it's
guess,
solid because Silas agreed to the terms. And then he said
yep,
that, okay, well, you have until the third day at dawn. So,
yep, yeah. So that
which
chapter was full of a lot.
yeah, yeah. But he also said, okay, now that we're in the 3-day waiting period, this isn't word for word, by the way. This is my version of it. That we're in the
Mm.
3-day waiting period. You guys cannot attack different clans. You can't attack the borders. You can't attack the scouts. And then here we are
Hmm.
in the next chapter. What happens, Carla?
I don't know, but it doesn't look good.
They all seem like they're after, like they're all sabotaging. Like they can't
Well,
play
because I
fair,
think,
and I think he said that before, like, they can't play fair.
yeah, because they all know that they can't physically go after Damien or his territory. But as we learn in this next chapter, Jasmine doesn't necessarily qualify for this truce, and neither does the human lands. So they're kind of going after Jasmine, and they're going after the human lands as a way to get at Damien because it's not
Yeah.
really breaking the truce.
So as we move forward, we do see the time is ticking. 24 hours has just passed from the time they agreed and when it started till now. And we do see, like you mentioned earlier, that healing for his leg is more slowly because his body is trying to save energy for what's ahead. So, what you said earlier is because you're thinking he's healing slowly because of his the poison in his leg. Before you said that, originally I was thinking that he was telling his like wolf body, like, hey, we need to use most of our energy for this fight, so take the healing process. I don't know if that's a thing, but take the healing process slowly. But now that you said that, I'm like, okay, maybe he is like, I don't know.
He might have been
There's a lot
poisoned
happening.
to, yeah, he could have been poisoned to slow the process down of the healing, which will weaken him in the fight and um allow him to not
Challenge.
gain, like, yeah, it's going to help lower his strength levels when he gets to the challenge.
Yeah. And then we do see that Jazz is helping. She realizes that Celine's favorite poison is neurotoxins.
Hmm.
It says here she coats her claws in a blend of paralytics derived from pufferfish and wolfsbane. Small doses uh it's small doses, not enough to kill you, but enough to slow down your heart, which then will probably slow you down, and then that gives her the opportunity to go that gives her an opportunity to go for your throat. So I just felt like that was very interesting how she uses a neurotoxin as one of her favorite
Mhm.
poisons
And
to do that.
if she can, what is that called when she dipped her fingers into it?
Dips her
Oh,
like
if
nail polish.
yeah, if she can coat her claws, why can't you maybe coat another wolf's teeth? Another wolf's
See?
teeth, right? Like that's what
But
I'm
does she
saying.
have
And
the
now
antidote for that?
I don't know. That's where it's getting confusing because I would think that if you were
Or
going
maybe
to coat your teeth with some type of toxin, will that affect you, or is it only affect if it gets into the bloodstream? But if you swallow it, it's hard, but like it's not necessarily something we can't just dismiss.
yeah, no, I would not dismiss that. I'm keeping my eye on that. So,
Hmm. We'll have to keep an eye on how many times, because I do know that his leg is mentioned a lot, which is why I'm like, why do they keep
so
bringing up the leg?
many. An
Yeah.
infection.
Well,
Alfred is so ready for that infection to hit. I'm like, bro, what did you do? Like, I want to know.
right.
There should be a little dialogue of Alfred and all the other characters.
Hmm.
So, but then after that, we see that that leads us to Sector 4 and what happened in Sector 4 with the lumber yard and everything. So, oh, but see, she even poisoned because when they got to the lumber yard, Damien was mentioning, do you see right here? Damien was mentioning that there should be 4 guards on duty
Yes. Yep.
and they were all poisoned. I feel like that should
Okay.
be
Yes.
considered an attack. Honestly, that should
I
be
would.
considered an
I
attack.
I would think so, but they said because there was a reason why though.
Well, he said they
I
didn't
can't
use
find it.
teeth or claw, they used fire for it. But now you're personally attacking a guard, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like poison
Yeah.
is an
I mean they.
attack.
Yeah. I mean that's where it gets confusing. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I wish we had
I have
like
to
a
know more.
whole book. I know. We need a book of all the rules just to be able to like compare, you know?
Oh my gosh, she does
Um,
need to make a whole Gambit, the Alpha Gambit challenge rule book.
oh, right? Then we can reference back. We'll be like, okay, hold on, let me get out the book. And then we just pull it up and we go through and we're like, yeah, that one's okay.
Section 42 right here says no poison. I'm just kidding. Close the
Right?
book. Boom. I want mine iron bound, just to let you guys know.
Yeah.
So, anywho,
So we see that the old mill, or no, I'm sorry. We see that the old lumber yard was a diversion because we have a fire going on in the city in Tallow, and we find out that it ends up being at a house of a woman named Mrs. Gable. And Damien goes, he rescues Mrs. Gable. They realize there's so much going on. They're trying to keep tabs on Tallow because they're trying to keep everybody protected. But that doesn't quite seem to be what's happening, does it, Amanda?
no, not at all. And I think Damien had a good point because he said that Selena is either going for the humans to create chaos and have police and National Guard come to the clans and go have the clans go underground, or to have Damien, then his troops, so he's unprotected at the circle. So I was like,
Mhm.
that was a very interesting point to me that was brought up because now it makes sense on why you remember a few chapters back how they all scattered when they saw the police lights
Mhm.
in the woods and
I
everything.
do.
And then right here it says to create chaos and have police and National Guard come so the clans would have to go underground. So
Yeah.
now I'm very
So
curious on
she
that one spot of why they're not, I don't know, I feel like that's something important that might like, why would the police or National Guard scare them? Like they look like humans too, you know?
yeah. And I think it's Celine's way of maybe trying to stop the gambit from happening, right? Cause a
Oh,
bunch
I
of
think all of
chaos
yeah.
and
She's
yeah.
scared.
So Yeah, but we
which
see
is very
that
interesting. Three
Damien,
against one, and they're all scared.
well, he has a 1 in 4 chance of winning this gambit. And if she's afraid, I mean, then that says a lot about Damien's character as far as what kind of a fighter and a warrior he is.
I know, I love it. I love it.
And she's also the first one. So maybe she is a little frightened because she's like, wow, if I had somebody going before me, maybe my chances were a little better. But now she's the first one. So maybe she's trying to figure out a way to get out of it
That
without
is
being
true.
a
I wouldn't
coward.
want to be the first one either. I'd be like, hold up, wait a minute. Hold up.
Yeah.
Can I go
Yeah.
last?
So
I'm a lady.
I know. But then we see
But
Damien and he tells Jazz that we just like we can't do this. We're spread too thin here. So he's like, I need you to call your father and we need to ask for help. And of course, her father is completely against it. He's like, absolutely not. No way. I'm not doing that. And Damien gets on the phone with him and he's like, look, like we need this. They're coming after Tallow. You guys have all kinds of people who are in Tallow who can basically give me eyes and ears. I'm not asking you to fight. I'm just asking you to basically be a neighborhood watch. And we see that her father agrees to that because I'm sure he wants to protect Tallow. He might not like Damien, but he obviously cares about the city he lives in.
and his daughter. Yeah, that is very true. I love the snows. And also don't forget that the news and the gossip around town is trying to convince people that it's a gas leak or that it's just summertime kids trying to have fun at the end. So there's a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
true.
cover-ups.
Yeah, they're trying to cover up everything so it's not going to lead back to them.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Okay, so now we see that Jazz is patrolling the city with her father. And they're just kind of having normal conversation. They're talking about things. Of course, as a father, he's concerned about her involvement in this. Um, but as they're patrolling, they get to an area where it gets a little darker and people tend to not want to go in this area. And we see a man who we call Scarface come out of the shadows that Jazz recognizes from when she was ambushed. And he is basically here with what two
He's in the
other, I think,
Draven's
other
clan,
people.
right?
He's in the Draven's clan. He's from Elford. So Elford sent him to go and basically cause chaos and mess around with the neighborhood, break down some mailboxes, whatever he has to do. But he basically wants him to stir up trouble. So
And to
yeah,
grab
we see that
Jazz.
happen.
He wanted
He
him
is
to
going to
grab
grab
Jazz
Jazz.
because he said that she was already property of the Gambit and they already
Mhm.
knew that Damien was gonna lose, which I was like, rude. Like, so
Yeah.
once
Well, and
again,
her,
isn't that breaking the thing? Because now your attack or does the snow's not count in that?
well, I think the snows don't count. I mean, that's my guess. I don't really know, but I'm assuming the snows don't count because they're technically neutral and they weren't there when all of this was being, when all the rules were being set. So, and
Okay.
technically,
Well,
they're on the human lands, they're on the human territory. And they said earlier that Jazz doesn't count when it comes down to any of the alpha protections. And so we see that
oh, is that
Elford
what
basically,
okay, that's what they meant.
yeah,
I get it now. I
yeah.
took it as he was being
So
snooty
then
and he just didn't want her to count.
I I mean that's kind of how it came across, but then I think also it was like, well, yeah, but that is true, you know?
Okay. Cool.
So then we have Jazz's father, who's basically like holding a flashlight. And he's like, "Don't come near my daughter." And then one of the guys pretty much takes out the dad, like not takes him out, but like knocks him off, and is like, "Nope." And then they start going after Jazz, and this is where we see Jazz start to show off some of her skills that she has, where she's trying to fight them off. And of course, Scarface basically says, "Grab the girl." Elford said that she's property of the Gambit. We might as well take her into custody early. So they're trying to take Jasmine back with them, and we see Jasmine sort of standing her ground, but then out of the blue here comes her dad, who shifts into wolf form now, and he helps to
Woo,
protect her.
woo.
And
Go,
not just,
daddy, go.
yeah, and not just her dad, but we start to see the neighbors come out. So we see her cousin, I think her cousin's name was Sarah. she comes out, right? And then we're seeing all these neighbors who are all part of the Snow clan that are living in Tallow coming out and helping protect. So we see Scarface retreat and he's like, we got to go. So he takes off and leaves. So now, of course, we have Damien who shows up because he felt her shift from wolf form and he felt, I'm sure, her fear and her terror because of the bond. And he comes and he's like, I'm taking you with me. You need to come. And she's like, nope, I got to stay with the Snows. I got to stay with my people because I need to show them that we need to fight back because now
They're
they have picked a
alive.
side.
Yep.
They picked a side. They're no longer neutral. They are going to be having now to stand with the Ashen ones because her father made he made the decision, I have to stand by my daughter. So that's what they do.
Yes.
And of course, now Damien's like, I'm not leaving you alone. So I'm going to go with you. We'll go back to the gym together because the gym ends up being the safety ground now because we learn that the Snows can't stay in the neighborhood. They can't stay in the houses. They have to go somewhere. And so Damien says, I will have my people protect you. We're going to get you guys all into one area and we will patrol and keep you guys safe. And Jazz wants to go with them. And
Yes.
Damien's like, then I'm going with you. So they all go
Oh,
to the
I
gym
love
together.
it. Party
It
at
was
the
a fun
gym.
chapter.
Okay. It was so fun to add on top of what you just said because that was perfect. I do want to I just want to tell you, but the listeners too. That was such a great scene with Jazz because one, she was able to shift into her wolf form super fast. She embraced the pain. She wasn't scared of it. She just let
Mhm.
it go. And two, she was able to defend herself for a little while. And we do see Scarface say, what? You could fight? That's not what I was told. And then, of course, like, I just thought it was so amazing. Like, everybody thinks so little of Jasmine. And I love that she was able to train in secret, that nobody knows this about her. I got super excited because I'm like, she could hold, like, oh, she is such a great character. I love her. Sorry.
Mhm.
I wanted you guys to know. I wanted you to
Well, yeah,
know.
everybody thinks she's just this librarian, right? But she's got some claws.
Yeah, are weak, who can't fight. She's a newly wolf, but it's like, dang, it's been like what, 2.5 weeks, maybe three for hitting it. That she's already like, she knows how to fight. She just basically was able to shift just like that. Like she embraced, I love how she says she embraced the pain. She used it for what she needed it for.
Yeah, no, it was perfect. It was great.
Yes.
So now heading back into the gymnasium, we see that Damien is sitting there. He's watching Jasmine help all the people, providing blankets and things like that. Elias, which is Jasmine's father, come and he sits down next to Damien and brings him a cup of coffee, which we find out tastes like mud, but coffee nonetheless. And he basically tells Damien that she is your weakness, and Damien counters him by saying, "No, she's my strength." And I think that both of these things can be true. I think Jasmine is his weakness, as we know, because that's why they're going after her. They know if he's distracted, but if they have Jasmine, then he's weakened. But then I also feel like she is his strength because if they take Jasmine, that's his only reason to really fight. He's not going to just lose, he's going to explode. So I think two things can be true. But what I thought was interesting is a comment, and I'll quote this, is that Elias says, I hated your father. Oh, and then Damien says, I know he thought you were a coward and you thought he was a tyrant. And Elias says he was a tyrant. But then he goes to say that you are not your father, Damien. You're basically Damien's father kept the Dravens in the marsh. He kept peace in his own brutal way, and he respected that. But what makes him different is that Damien's father, if there was some type of breach and the Dravens got out the way that we're seeing it here in the book now, Damien's father would have just let them take out the Snows. He wouldn't have helped them. He wouldn't have gone forward and aligned with them to help. We see Damien actually helping.
He
So
would have
although the
burned the
Dravens,
gymnasium down.
right, he would have. And I think that's why he's telling him that you're different. You're different because of what you would have done after the breach, after the Dravens attacked. You are actually willing to help us and be there for us when your father would never have done that. And that's what makes you different.
It's just a
Use it
heart
right
to
here.
heart where he's starting to see that Damien is not like his dad because it probably put him back. Like, wait, you're coming to the gymnasium to protect us. You're going to have your people patrol with us to protect us and do like anything that we need. So, because Elias did say your dad would have burned the gymnasium down. So I feel
Hmm.
like he's starting
Yeah.
to realize that Damien is not as a tyrant, like his dad. So
Yeah.
I see some
Yeah.
shifting going.
Mhm.
I see some
Everything
love
that
going.
Elias, I know, everything that Elias, I think, just assumed about Damien, he's starting to realize that he's not that person.
Yeah.
And maybe he's starting to understand why maybe Jazz is falling in love with him. We also see that Elias is wondering, okay, so what's happening now? Clearly, we picked a side. Are we still your neighborhood watch? What are we doing here? And Damien's basically like, yeah, I need you as my eyes and ears. I can't be focusing on keeping Talos safe and training because he knows that he needs to train in order to keep Elias's daughter safe. So Elias is like, for my daughter, as long as you protect my daughter, I will keep Talos safe. I will let you know if I see anything going on. And this was a huge thing because basically it meant that Elias was going to be submitting his pack's autonomy to Damien's command, which um, basically essentially meant that they are 100% picking a side. There is no more neutral here.
And we do see Elias wanting Damien to take Jazz out of there because he doesn't feel like she's safe there anymore. So that is what he
Hmm.
does. Like instantly, he didn't even second guess it. He's just gave him a nod and he's like, Jazz, let's go. And she's like, what? No.
Yeah. He says he won't attack you directly before the gambit. He will attack her. He will try to terrorize her, to hurt her, just to rattle you. If she is here in this gym, she's the target. And if she gets hurt 5 minutes before you step into the circle, Damien says, I will fall. Like he finishes the sentence. So
Yes.
yeah, we know that that's not going to be good for you, Damien. You need to get Jazz out of the gym and in your protection because that's going to be the best thing for her.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say really quick too, um, Jazz, when they go back to the compound, she is telling Damien, I know your leg is hurting, which again, we're bringing back up the leg, right? She's talking about how his leg is hurting and all that. But she does say, and I thought this was interesting, and I kind of forgot about it. You took a bite for me.
Yeah.
So
Because she was going to get
the
attacked.
right. So the wolf that if we're going with our theory on the poison, that wolf bite was meant for Jasmine, right? Damien just
I
took it
know.
for
Isn't
her.
that crazy?
I wanted to bring that up before we moved on because the next chapter is when Jazz and Damien are looking over files. So we see that Rorik has brought in, so basically property tax records, business permits, zoning applications, all these things. And so they're just going over anything that they can try to figure out about Celine to help give them an advantage in the upcoming fight. So I'm going to kind of just run through something with you. Bear with me, okay? Because it's going to be a lot, but it's something that Jazz finds, and I thought it was interesting. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So Jazz digs into property tax records Damien got from Rorik and finds something huge, a shell company called Apex Logistics. Okay. Are you still with me? Quietly took ownership of the old lumber yard, the exact site that was attacked last night to draw them out. So remember, we were talking about the old lumber yard and how it caught on fire. Then she finds a business permit for a courier service operating in the Shadowfane territory, which is Celine's territory, with a distribution hub and a fleet of 20 vans, which immediately raises red flags because they're not delivering to residential areas, only commercial zones and empty lots. So they really don't need that many vans for ammo and food. 3 days before the attack, Mrs. Gable's house, the one with the gas leak, had a utility upgrade permit filed by a subcontractor hired by Apex Logistics. So that's the same company. That's the proof. Celine wasn't just sneaking around, she was prepping the ground. They used the utility work to cut and cap the line so it looked normal until they were ready. This shows Celine's tactics have evolved. She's using infrastructure, she's moving hazardous materials through the city with legal permits and delivery vans. They've been looking in the wrong places. They shouldn't be hunting wolves, they should be watching for contractors and engineers. And utility work is scheduled all over the city for the next 3 days, connecting snow territory to the mainland. Celine's rigging the board, and if Damien starts to win, she can hold the town and take out a substation or drops a bridge. So basically, I'm thinking that this is like her escape plan. I'm thinking that going back to her basically wanting to maybe get out of the fight. If she can't get out of the fight, this could be her escape plan. She just has all of this go
I
off
feel
and the
like
gambit
all
stops.
okay. That is a good point. But this has happened before she even knew about the fight, or do you think she knew that all this stuff was gonna go down with Damien to get him to fight to do the Gambit challenge? Yeah,
They're
which she
putting
just
stuff
but she
in.
didn't buy that property 6 months ago knowing that there was gonna be a fight.
Yeah, no. I think so. Yes, and I think because it was purchased 6 months ago, it could lead us to think that maybe this doesn't have to do with the gambit, but I think Celine is somebody who's always preparing. I think no matter what, she's going to prepare, she's going to get things ready in case she needs it, right? Because she can't just last minute get all this set up. She already had the courier service, right? And then obviously she just purchased the Apex Logistics, the shell company, but I think that's just Celine preparing. I could be wrong. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I feel like the girl is always trying to be like 3 steps ahead.
I feel like Celine is always trying to be prepared, just like how Damien right now is trying to be prepared, because you do see that him and Jazz are starting to train again, which then Damien brings out a very specific dagger. And I feel like I know too much about this topic. So, Carly, you could take it away and explain the dagger and how important that is.
Okay, so this dagger he pulls out, it's a small knife. It's curved with a handle wrapped in black leather. It looks like the claw is made of steel. So this is what they call the karambit. Um, so it's a close quarters weapon. So it's designed for somebody who is smaller fighting someone bigger. So Jazz is obviously smaller, and a lot of these opponents, Elford, for example, right? I don't know why I air quoted that, but Elford, for example, is larger,
We
right?
think he's
So this would be
puny.
something that could probably, right, this could be something that benefits her. However, we learn that it's iron, it's cold forged, and it burns shifters. So it's going to stop the regeneration process, which again makes me go back to thinking the iron, the cold forge, the fact that Damien's not regenerating as quickly, could something have connected? I'm not saying this specific knife, but I just see the connection of the regenerating, like he's not able to regenerate as fast, just like this knife can stop another alpha from regenerating as quickly. So basically this weapon is introduced though, and it's something that Damien wants her to use as a backup plan, as almost a last resort, if you will.
Mhm.
He wants her to be able to have this knife on her at all times in case something happens. She is able to use this and really take out somebody, because this seems to be a weapon that is going to be strong enough to take out an alpha.
Yeah. Yes. Which, I mean, sucks that he's probably having to go through plan A, plan B, and plan C, because he's thinking that he's not going to make it and he needs to prepare Jazz for what happens if he doesn't make it, which makes me sad. So
I know.
that's fine.
It's okay. We're going to hope for the
Which
best,
then
right?
we are, and we can see that the time is ticking even faster for the moment before the combat starts. So I could see where Damien is probably coming from on why he wants to train her on that, because now we are 36 hours from the Alpha's Gambit. And guess who shows
I
up
know.
at the gate? No, it's not Alfred. I know. I know. I was a little disappointed too. It is the Grimbells. And you want to know why they show up to the gate, do you? Well, you already know. But
Um,
they
I
provoke a
do.
hail I do want to know. They provoke a hail. So basically it's they want to see if Damien is fit to challenge Kane. And who's the guy? Tor? Tor even brought up, didn't he bring up his leg?
Yes, again with the leg, right? They are checking to see if his
Yeah.
leg is strong enough to fight because Kane doesn't
Is
want to just have some wimpy fight. He wants to actually fight somebody.
the Grimvilles show up and they provoke a hail, which is to make sure that the challenger is actually up for the fight, which Damien did mention that usually the hail is called on upon older people or like someone that's sick. And so he allows him to come in and it is kind of funny how when he walks in, he's all like, a little birdie told me that you need a female to hold you up. So I don't know if that was a reference to like, because he's limping on his leg and he just wants to make sure, like, did the infection hit yet? Or if it's just like a metaphorical, like, you need Jasmine to bring you up, like, bring you up. So the hail is basically that, and then it's not till the death. So they are going to challenge. Damien did accept the challenge, and Tor said until someone draws first blood. So Damien asked, "Well, what form do you want to fight in?" He said, "Let's fight in man form," which I'm like, okay, that's like you're being a man, which gets canceled out in my head later. You're being a man. Okay. So they're fighting, and so of course, Tor does get draws the first blood, which he scratches his chest and everything. Which I feel like Damien was about to be like, okay, like yes, you won, like kind of slowing down, but Tor wanted more. He wanted the death, so he kept going. He went into his wolf form, basically playing dirty. Well, then we find out within seconds, Damien goes into his wolf form, dominates Tor, where when Tor changes back to his human form, he's crying. And then he's like, you tell Kane that I am able to fight and I'm ready, which then proved to everybody who was watching that their alpha still has it, which bravo, Mr. Damien, bravo.
Oh yeah, I loved this specific scene because I feel like we're starting to get a little bit of our Damien back, right? Like we've seen him kind of hurting, he's been limping, he's not been able to like really fight and do the things he wants to fight. And this was like the first time in a while we've seen him really get into a fight and prove himself. And I was like, get it. That is awesome. I love it.
Oh, yeah. And that's a yeah, another thing is he purposely let Tor bite him in the leg to see if his bone could hold up the bites. And our girl Jazz was not happy, and neither was, I want to call her a medic, but she worked in the infirmary. She was not happy because she even said 3 days of healing just went out the window. So, but he was proud of himself. He's like, my leg will hold up. So, yeah.
Yeah. So since you mentioned the little birdie thing, I am going to reference this again later because there is something that I spotted and it could be a pin. I don't know. We're going to have to talk about it, but I am going to refer back to this. So just remember that when Tor came in and he says, a little birdie told me, I'm going to bring something up later that has to do with that.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So Jasmine wants to figure out what the history is between his family and Alfred's family, which then Damien then says, well, it's more than just territorial problems. So it started with their fathers, which now we know his dad's name is Marcus, and Alfred's dad is named Vargas. And it happened 30 years ago. So we do see that Vargas was a brute. He killed for sport, and we see more that Damien's dad was not like that. So Marcus challenged Vargas in a fight where basically Marcus had the chance to kill Vargas and he didn't. He showed mercy instead, which then unfortunately backfired on Vargas because that was like a humiliation type thing. He took his manhood from him. It was just a big disgrace for him. So, unfortunately for Alfred, Vargas took it out on Alfred and was basically filling his mind with like that's weakness, he's the enemy, and all that stuff. So, it does go back a while, and the hatred, I could see where Alfred probably hates Damien so much is because it's like your dad shamed me and he showed weakness and now you're showing weakness, and it's just like in his head it's just probably a lot for him to handle right now.
Yeah. I mean, especially it sounds like Vargas groomed Elford to think that if you're weak, that or if you show any type of um mercy, then you're weak.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of what shaped Elford into this villain character that we're seeing.
Mhm. Which is crazy. So Alfred basically hates him because of Marcus and everything, and then we see 10 years ago, so this debunks your snow thing, sorry, love, that Alfred um, killed the king 10 years ago. He was shot in the stomach. So, and Damien even says that, un- not, this isn't word for word, but Damien even basically told Jazz that his dad was inviting him in. They even poured him a drink and all this stuff. So it was supposed to be a friendly talk or whatever that he was going in there for. So he was kind of blindsided by it all.
Mhm.
So,
And I want to clarify. Okay. So I have said from the beginning that I know Alfred is a villain. And I do think he probably was the one to physically kill the king. And I do think I'm wrong on before last episode when I was kind of joking, but kind of serious about like it being maybe it has something to do with Jasmine's father. I don't necessarily think that anymore. But what I'm still holding on to is I do believe that Elford killed the king. I do think he's the one who probably physically did it, but I don't feel like he did it alone. I feel like we're missing something. I have this feeling that there's going to be somebody else involved. Um, I have my suspicions, but I just think that this isn't all Elford. I think there's going to be somebody else, and it's what I've been saying from the beginning. I do think Elford's a villain, but I think there's going to be another villain with it.
ooh, okay.
I think maybe there was a coordination going on. Like
A coordination. It's
I think
coordination time.
somebody I think that there might have been somebody, I mean, just from reading it, I feel like maybe somebody was betraying the king or somebody was angry with the king and Elford wasn't acting alone. That's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah. I like them. I like them a
And
lot.
and Damien does say there was no proof, there was no witnesses, just a dead king and a smiling rival. So there
How
was
does he know
nothing
he was
left over.
smiling?
I don't know. How does he know that he poured him a drink if there's no witnesses and no proof? We're missing something. I feel like we're missing something.
Okay. And then on top of that, too, this happened 10 years ago, but then they just had the ceremony for the king, like not even 3 weeks ago. Technically, not even 2 weeks ago.
hmm So that makes me wonder then, um, do you think that for 10 years they've been pretending like the king maybe has been alive or I don't know, maybe he was sick or something? Like, has anybody seen the king in the last 10 years? Because if he died 10 years ago, but they just had the ceremony, what, a few days ago, we're missing something in between, right?
Yeah. But we still have 8 more chapters before this book ends.
Well, and I want to know too, though, like, how does Damien know all these things? If Damien, if Damien knew that his father died at the hand of Elford, that means when the elders were telling him your father was assassinated, he already knew.
Yes. Just like how I was telling you earlier on the phone, I think Damien was there because 10 years ago he was 18. So he could have already been there with his dad doing something. And as he's walking out, he probably smelt Alfred come in. So he probably stayed behind, kind of hidden in the shadows. Maybe. I
Yeah.
could be wrong.
Well, because
But
yeah, because just to go through it, we have a logging accident. We have the elders saying, no, it was time we tell you the truth. He was assassinated. We have Damien saying, I kind of figured that. But then we fast forward all these chapters, and all of a sudden, Damien is 100% sure. And he knows exactly what happened to his father's death. And he's telling Jazz.
I
So
know. There's
was
a
Damien,
twist here. I just know it.
yeah, was Damien hiding this too? Did he know? Did the elders say something to him and we missed it? Like there I feel like there's something happening, and I don't know. I think we're on to something, but I don't know. I don't want to get
And
ahead of myself.
I have a couple of theories. Like I said, maybe the elders kind of hid it because they aren't ready for Damien to be king, or they didn't think he was ready to do whatever he had to do to become king, or they just weren't ready for the chaos that was about to break out once everybody knew there wasn't a king anymore. So
Well, you would think that if Damien knows that if his father was killed by Alfred, why would he keep it a secret?
to not cause chaos, I don't know. That's so hard.
There's so
I
many
don't know.
questions.
Maybe
Like,
he's planning something too. I don't
and
know.
I know this chapter like kind of threw both of us for a loop because we had to like go back and be like, wait a minute, what just happened in chapter 10? And now that we're here in chapter 27 and we're hearing about Damien's father's story. So I'm curious to know if the next 8 chapters of the book is going to give us these answers, or do we have to wait for like another book? That's
Ah.
okay. I don't know. But I do think we're missing something. And I think we need to keep an eye on this part of the timeline, and we need to pin this up and refer back to it later. So in this next chapter, we see Jazz and Damien kind of have their last night together before the Gambit. So basically, they have their moment together, and this is actually the first time he tells her he loves her. So that was cute. That was sweet. It was a pretty easy, simple chapter. I liked it.
Yeah, and then we also
Yeah.
find out, moving forward, Damien wants to show Jasmine how to kill a king. So then, of course, she gets a little flustered, like, "Why do you want me to kill you?" And he's like, "Well, not me per se, but just to be able to defend yourself." So once again, I feel like he's having doubts about what's going to happen in a couple of hours. So he shows her the king fangs. So the way I picture it, it's like you make your like little fingers like this, and then it's like a pressure point, and you get them. So
I think
he,
it like this.
oh, like that. Okay, I was like this. Maybe it is like that.
I don't know.
But they're training, of course, and he's like demanding her go to wolf form, go to human form, and do that. And she eventually gets it, and she got him good. Like he dropped to his knees, he was out of breath, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" Like he couldn't really like. It took him a second to catch his breath, but he goes, "Yes, see, that's how you do it." So, um, and then that timed out perfectly because now we see Damien has to go. So
Yeah, I
so
know.
sad. Okay, so now it's time for we have to say goodbye to Damien for now because he is going to head over to the Gambit challenge. He does tell Jazz that if you see a white flare, it's safe to come out. If you see a red flare, I need you to run. And she's a little hesitant because he's kind of leaving her in a bedroom. And then now we move to Jazz's side, and what she sees is that time has passed. What's been minutes feels like hours, and she's pacing back and forth through her bedroom because she could even count her steps. And then she looks at the clock. It's 6:15 in the morning, and the gambit starts at 7. So that would be so scary to think about that your mate is about to go fight, and you can't even leave the room. But it's just crazy too how the Alpha's Gambit is about to start. There's a big explosion underneath Jazz's bedroom, and of course we see the Shadow Fangs come out. She does take two of the enemies on by herself before she even changes, and then the Shadow Fangs do shoot her with a poison dart. They like to play dirty. So then we do see Rourke come in, and the Shadow Fangs have to decide if they are either going to stay behind and fight to try to take Jasmine back to them, or if they're just going to run. And then they did run. So we kind of leave the chapter. Well, technically, we kind of leave that chunk for Jasmine gets poisoned. So, but Rorik does come in and picks her up, and he's all like, "You're safe now." And he walks out, and she does promise, like she does make him promise, "Please don't let Damien know that this has happened," like right before she passed out. So that was our cliffhanger of the book, and we are not okay with that section. So
We are not. We need to know what happens. Like, can we know? I want to.
I know. Okay, but now we will. So yeah,
So I
that
did want
was
to,
chapters 21 through 30.
right? No, those were good chapters. I feel like the whole book has been very entertaining. A lot of action. It's just kept us on our toes the entire time. Hard to put down. Okay, so you remember earlier how I told you to remember the comment that Tor had made where he said a little birdie told me?
Yes.
Okay. So something stuck out to me in this chapter. Now, this could be a whole bunch of nothing, or it could be a clue to something. But as we both really like to kind of dive in and figure out what we think is happening, I want to point this out. We know that Jazz says the compound stood on old foundations. Damien once said they were smuggler dens from the Prohibition era. There were basements and sub basements, a maze of concrete and earth that Rorik swore had been sealed up years ago. That comment kind of just like clicked in my mind for a minute because I'm like, if Rorik swore he had sealed those tunnels up before, how did these people get through? Now I understand that they bombed the door that leads to the bedroom, but those tunnels were supposed to be sealed up. Does that mean Rorik lied? That he never sealed those tunnels up? And if that's the case, if Rorik did lie, does that mean that he is possibly on the other side? And if that's the case, does that mean that the little birdie who told Kane could possibly be somebody in the inner circle? Someone like, I don't know, maybe someone like Rorik? you know? Like, I guess for me, I just saw that. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was peculiar. I want to keep my eyes on Rorik. I'm not saying the guy is an evil villain. I just want to keep my eyes on him because it wouldn't surprise me if he maybe wasn't as much of a good guy as we thought. But I will say, I do feel like I am wrong when it comes to Jazz's father. How I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe Jazz's father was going to be one of the evil ones. And I do believe that Elford is the one who killed Damien's father. I do believe that, but I don't believe he was working alone. I feel like there might have been somebody else involved who maybe was helping him out, maybe didn't physically kill Damien's father, but I feel like there might be somebody who did take part in it with Elford. That's all I'm trying to say. So that kind of stood out to me. I thought that was a little interesting. I do want to keep my eyes on Rourke. I'm not saying he's a villain. I'm just saying I want to watch him. So
Yeah. Okay. And then with the snowpack, I don't think he would really want to hurt a fly, to be honest with you, because pacifists don't believe in like killing or harming really anything. But I was kind of rolling with you when he said that too. Rorik
yeah.
did pick up Jasmine and he's taking her somewhere. Like, you don't know. And you have me thinking all these crazy thoughts right now, and I don't know how I feel. Did
Yeah,
Damien just leave Jasmine in the arms of the enemy? Like,
I don't know. And like I said, I don't know if he is an actual villain. There's really not enough information for me to
I
definitively say I think he is.
yeah. I just feel like you're tracking it so hard that I feel like there's gonna be something there for you. Like, you usually
Yeah.
don't pick up unless you're like on it. So I don't know.
I
Maybe we'll
just
find out in the
yeah.
next chapters. And
I
everybody's gonna be
just
like, the betrayal.
I know. I just think that there's going to be somebody else involved with Elford. That's all. I think that's the whole point of what I'm kind of thinking is happening. And I keep thinking I'm getting suspicious of all these people. First, it was Jazz's father, and now I'm kind of thinking maybe Rorik, but I could be completely wrong. Rorik could, for all we know, could be a great, perfect non villain. It's just, I'm just trying to
No,
connect the
he's the
dots.
villain of our story. He has to stay the villain of our story. He's a good villain.
Rorik? Or are you
Oh,
talking
Rory,
Alfred?
I thought you said Alfred. Okay.
Have to read and find out the next 8 chapters. We only have one more episode left of this book. I'm so
I'm so
sad, but I'm
sad.
excited to find out the end.
I
So,
know. And then we have hopefully a book 2 coming soon cuz
mhm.
I just feel like there's so much that 8 chapters can't answer my questions. But
I know. I know. Well, is there anything else you want to add before we end it?
no, but we love you guys.
Yep. And if you're not already, make sure that you go and subscribe. We are on YouTube, we are on Apple Podcasts, and we're on Spotify. We're also on social media. So you're going to find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And yeah, go on, check us
No.
out.
Yeah, we just opened up a Threads account. We opened up
We
a
did
Threads
open up
account.
a Threads account. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we also are on Threads. But yeah,
Yes.
go ahead and give us a follow. Maybe send us a message. Tell us if you guys are totally enjoying this podcast, and not just the podcast, but this specific book, because we are loving it.
I know.
But yeah, other than that, I guess we should get to reading, and then we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.